Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video about my racing setup. I've put a lot of time and many years into this, and yeah, really happy with it. It's pretty much been like this for the last about 12 months. But yeah, just so I give you a quick run through of it. So basically I'm running a Sony 4K TV. Bought it last year, and yeah, it is really good. The clarity is really good, all that sort of stuff, but there is all those input lag. It's the issues. It is a TV after all, so my next step for this setup is going to be a triple screen computer monitor setup. Just finding, especially when I watch my replays, the time it takes for me to engage first gear at the start of the race and the green light to the time it engages and takes off is quite a while. I watch my replays and think that I was sleeping on the line, so yes, hopefully that will fix that. I've got a Thrustmaster TX wheel with the F1 wheel on it. I've got the gear shifter for it, Thrustmaster gear shifter. Triple pedal setup, and what is really cool in my opinion is the box that I've painted on. So the grey frame you see there is my original simulator that I bought 10 years ago. When I first bought a wheel, did the old clipping it onto the coffee table, but you only have to run 1 or 2 laps before you realise that not only does the coffee table move too much, so do the pedals on the carpet. So yeah, went down and bought this for 200 bucks, I think, and it's lasted me all of this time. It's been fantastic, but I just wanted to get off the ground. The seat that came for it was pretty flimsy, so I replaced it with just an actual car seat. The basic frame is from Hyperdrive, and he's a guy in, I think, South Australia. Really nice guy, and he has all levels of racing simulators and flight simulators. Also got a center console for the car. When I had this set up in the lounge room, the coffee table was about there, and if I wanted to reach around and grab a drink, it was actually quite painful, and you couldn't do it mid-race, so I needed cup holders. And it also turns out that this is a very good mouse pad, but it's got your typical center console stuff. That usually my Xbox controllers are in there, but the 2-year-old is he's taken them. So this box is what I'm really proud of. I made this box because when my boy was 6 months old, he had an absolute obsession with wires and cables, and I needed a solution to hide those wires. Even though I've got this in a private room now, he still sneaks in, and yeah, so the basis of that box under the simulator is to hide all my cables. I've got a Sony 5.1 surround sound, Logitech. I think I just said Sony, it's actually Logitech. Subwoofer at the back, center, and the fronts right at my feet. And I made a bracket for the seat, just out of wood, that holds the 2 rear speakers, so they're right in your ears, and it's really good. But as with this whole setup is constantly evolving, and found that when I'm racing at 4 o'clock in the morning, that no one in the neighbourhood appreciates an engine revving, so I've gone out and bought the NZXT 7.1. They're not the Pro, they're the 7.1 version 2. The reviews I had of it were it was the best microphone in the business, so yeah, really happy that I've got that. I've also got 2 other speakers down here, Logitech, just basic Logitech speakers. They were used when I was using the surround sound setup. I used those 2 as the communication speakers. When I was racing, clan racing, we'd all chat through the race, and it was really good to have the sound separated from the 5.1 so that when the people were speaking, it wasn't blaring through the speakers. As far as the computer, this is my baby. Love this thing. Find the remote. It's a couple of years old now. Change the colour. There we go. It's i7 4790 non-K. It came with a Gigabyte GTX 980 video card, but found, especially with Project Cars, that the game was crashing in 4K. It was a little bit too much for it. So when the 1080s came out and they finally came down, I got the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1080 Extreme Gaming Edition. This came out and was quickly superseded by the Aorus Edition. It's effectively, in the 1080 is the same card, and I love it. It is absolutely awesome. It is way too much for what I'm doing, but that's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want to be pushing my system to the limit, and yeah, I really want to get one of the Thermaltake vertical mounts. I don't have anything else above or below it, and yeah, I'll turn the light off. That might help it. Yeah, so I've got an Intel, is it 730 SSD, the one with the skull on it. It is super fast. I've had it since the before I bought this computer, and it has never missed a beat. It is fantastic. Running 8 gig of RAM, nothing special. DDR3 RAM. It's an old motherboard, CPU and RAM setup compared to today's computers, but it does everything that I want. I've got a few other hard drives just for storage. My old computer hard drive, I've just bought a 4 gig hard drive, and this computer came with a 1.5 terabyte hard drive. So sorry, I've just bought a 4 terabyte hard drive because these Shadow Play videos are very big. And yeah, just a couple of decorations. Wanted to dress the place up a bit, hang my old wheel up on the wall. I got my bookshelf. I love my cars, I love my motorsport. I have every motor magazine for the last 5 years, 6 years, and I've got a few old classic. I'll just pull a random one out. This is a Street Machine from January, February 1987, and it's really cool pulling these out every now and then just to have a squiz. I mean, have a look, this cigarette advertising on the back. Fantastic. And yeah, also my childhood hero, Peter Brock. He was the Michael Schumacher when I was 4 years old in Australia. Peter Brock, the greatest touring car driver there ever was, and I love him that much that I named my son Peter Brock Corrigan. He's awesome. So yeah, I'll show you behind the TV. I put a lot of work into this. Went down to Bunnings and bought a lot of PVC pipe, and there's this one cable down here for the printer. I've got to chuck that in the pipe, but there's basically, including the surround sound and everything, there are 32 cables running through this pipe, and there's an intersection down the bottom to divide between the computer and the TV. And yeah, it's pretty busy, but if you're asking as well, I put the other where is it? I put that there because those cables didn't go that far. So yeah, I've got a hole in the pipe, and it's just about distributing the cables, so it all goes into the front of the simulator. And this is all handmade, by the way, and for convenience, so I don't have to get up, I've made this trapdoor. And inside I've got an 8-port powered USB hub plus another power board and a fan, just a USB fan that I can plug in and chuck it in my lap and blow some air around me. And yeah, so that's my setup. One last thing I wanted to show you was the telemetry reader that I use. I've been using this for project cars for years, and I absolutely love it. I've got it running just on 3 phones. Here in Australia we get a phone every 2 years with a contract. After the contract's finished, you own the phone. So I've been able to just, the phones, instead of throwing them in the drawer and never using them, I've been able to use them. And I've actually got a shift light set up with iRacing, and you can actually set the thresholds for the when the red light goes on. So the left phone I think is at 90%, the middle phone is at 95%, and the right phone is at 98%. So that means as I'm going through the rev range, I found once I set this up, I don't use much more telemetry than this. Means I can focus a lot more on my racing line and positioning the car, the data with my relative times to who's around me during a race. And yeah, I just know that when that right phone goes on, bright red, I've got 2% of the gear to go. And if you hold that red light on too long when you're going flat out, you're going to hit the limiter and you're going to lose time. So that's just one of the little tricks that I use while I'm racing. And the data I've got, the middle one's the main one. So it's got how much fuel I've got left, how much fuel I'm consuming in the last lap, average over the race, and how many laps to go, plus a couple of times, and a bit of water and oil pressure. On the left is the lap difference time, the delta from my previous lap, and I've got the voltage there so that when I turn the game on, I just know that if it's not registering through Wi-Fi, it'll come up as 0. And on the right side, I've just got my car position and what lap I'm on plus the voltage. Those middle ones are just Mickey Mouse. I don't even use them. It's more for the red light. And once again, the voltage down there just to show that it's connected. So yeah, that's my setup, guys. I'm very, very proud of it, and I've put a lot of time into it. So I can't wait to get my triple screen set up and show it off once that's all finished. Oh, that printer, by the way, big, massive Epson WF7620 printer. I actually won that from my computer shop. It's an A3 printer. It is massive, but I use it quite a bit for scanning documents for work and stuff like that. And yeah, so I guess this is my room. I'm very lucky. I know there are some people that tell me that they wish they had a room like this, but we've got one kid and one on the way. So while we've got a spare bedroom, I've been able to make the most of it. But when the game room's not being used, it's the closed drawing room. So there was a bit of compromising in that. But anyway, if you like this video, chuck me a thumbs up, subscribe if you like, and yeah, this is what I'm using to record my videos. All I do is press Alt F9 for a shadow play, and what you see on the screen is what I see during the race. I don't edit or anything like that. So yeah, if you want to see more of it, stay tuned. I'll be pumping them out. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.